Welcome to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Josh, joined as ever by my illustrious and professional co-hosts, Ray and Mike. Gentlemen.
Giving me a lot of credit there with that professional tag, but all right.
Me, Mikey.
Oh, God.
Close enough. That'll do.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Gentlemen, what's good?
Well,
Friday
we can
night.
talk about what games we're playing.
No,
That's good.
this is a
We're
final.
talking about a singular game.
Oh yeah,
just
the one.
This is a spoiler discussion cast with some fucking rants and feelings burst especially at the end. We're gonna talk about the Final Fantasy VII remake. So
I'm glad you guys finally got to play it.
Yeah, I just finished it this week or so ago. I have a lot of feelings. But going into this, we are going to be discussing plot points. We're going to be discussing things that happen, scenes. So, we're going to get into spoiler territory. This isn't a shot-by-shot everything of the game. But if you have not played or
know what the deal is.
Intend to play at some point and want to be surprised, come back to this one later. Make sure you're subscribed at unscriptedgaming.com. So you can come back to this once you finish the game, and then come listen to what we thought about it.
Speaking of which, by the time this podcast gets released, it's still free as of March 2021 on the PlayStation Plus store if you have a PS Plus account. So now you have no reason not to play it, so long as you have that yearly subscription.
That's right.
And right off the bat, you should play it.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a great podcast, everybody. Thank you for listening to Unscripted Gaming.
All right, roll it.
Game of the year.
Here we go. Outro. Here we go. We're out.
Right. Hi, everybody.
Ooh, yeah, that was a good one, guys. All right.
That was great work. All right, everybody get the files. We'll get them up. And
All right, good job.
yeah.
Some would call that the game of the year, or at least a contender for game of the year. Some dashing person might have called it the best-looking PS4 game released.
Who
I might be that
something?
person.
Who could have done something like that?
I was like, thank you. You're so kind, Ray. I mean,
Well,
that's the two of you to say.
course.
I definitely think had I played this game on time, it would have made it into my game of the year list in some capacity. I don't know where it would have fallen or what it would have knocked off, but I think it would have been, it would have made the cut.
You'd be a fool if it didn't knock off Warzone, in my opinion.
I mean, Warzone's pretty
No.
goddamn good.
Sorry, but no. I think canonically, if you really want to be like about this, I would remove this. The remake takes the place of Tony Hawk on my list.
Oh, that's a solid shoe-in, easily.
I think one thing that is really cool, particularly for like us talking about this, is that you guys have like very significant experience with Final Fantasy VII. I never played the original, not once. Never played it. Like I knew the character. I'm like, oh, that's the guy from Final Fantasy VII in Smash Bros. That's the other guy from Final Fantasy VII in Smash Bros.
Those are the guys that always make the swords or a penis joke about.
Yeah, and like, so I did not. So I had no like nostalgia. Like that was not really a hit for me for this game, and I still absolutely loved playing it and really enjoyed it.
Awesome. I mean, so where should we get started?
But
Josh
needs to kind of unload here. He's got some hot takes and thoughts, so fire away, my friend.
I was about to say, go.
So, overall, I very much enjoyed the Final Fantasy VII remake. I think I honestly have forgotten more about Final Fantasy VII than I even knew knew as a youth playing the game. There are so many things that as I was playing through this game, like things would start coming back to me. Like my wife ended up kind of watching me play through most of the game. Most of the time at the very beginning, like, oh my God, this is stupid. And then at the halfway through, it's like, wait, who's that? Do we know who that is yet? And, really getting invested into it. And there were so many times where I'm like, I think I remember this story beat, or I remember this character, but I don't remember if they were this involved. And the decision to focus this entire game on, what is essentially just the first couple chapters of the Final Fantasy VII storyline, I think is both a really good and a really frightening decision at the very same time. And, for what, like, I think that explaining more about Midgar, getting to experience the slums more, putting more characterization to Avalanche as a team was a really smart decision to get you really endeared to the mission of what is happening and the world that is, the world that you're in. But on the business end of everything, I'm really, really worried about Final Fantasy VII moving forward. Yes, Ray.
Why?
Well, I think what is going to happen here very soon is we are going to get the Kingdom Heartsification of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because at the original onset, as far as I know, we were supposed to have Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, Part 2, and maybe Part 3. Now, they are talking about 5 or 6 different stories that could be taking place and happening in between and in the interim. Not to mention a freaking Battle Royale game that they're just slapping the Final Fantasy VII skin on. And that just makes me very much worry that the Part 2 is going to get drug on, or that they are going to try and put important story beats in side stories that are Final Fantasy 7.2.3.I.I.I.I.X.
I can't wait for Final
You're
Fantasy
not
7. I'm so psyched.
God.
It's gonna happen.
The last chapter of a Final Fantasy VII Remake will be on a streaming only console at this point.
Ew.
Just
gross.
There it is.
Josh, I do want to know, when we saw the I think it was a Sony Play event, and you guys saw the trailer for the Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale game. I will note that both you said, well, yeah, I'm going to play it. I think that's all they're trying to do. They're like, this is going to be dumb. 99% of people are going to bounce off this mobile game the second they touch it, because they're like, this is dumb. But the 1% that stick around are going to probably like really stick around and probably end up monetizing into it. And that's all they're doing with it. It's using the exact same assets as well, so it probably wasn't that expensive.
But I mean, and I know they're mobile focused and whatnot, but like you already have now like Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier. I think there are a couple other side stories and projects that have been announced, and like that just makes me so insanely worried about how convoluted,
like splintered it's going to be.
Yeah, how splintered it could be, how much. I'm already not 100% sold on the idea of having to spend $120 or whatever that final cost of investing in the main game. As amazing as this remake was, how much money am I going to have to put in to make sure that I get the full experience, rather than just, hey, you've got the Final Fantasy Remake 7 parts, whatever we number it, how many halves, 3/4, fifths am I going to need to get?
So
yeah.
I do want to interject here for just a couple of thoughts on the business aspect of it. So for Ever Crisis, you brought that up, which I'm interested in playing. That's just a remake of that's just a straight remake, because we have to get into what the word remake on Final Fantasy VII Remake means. It's, in case anyone's listening to this and they're curious, it's not what you think. It actually means something. But that is just a straight, I guess, re-release of the original game with like cleaned up mobile graphics. And that sounds fine. That sounds like a fine little mobile diversion. I'm sure that wasn't too expensive either. But I understand your concern of like what a Kingdom Heartsification of the entire series, where they just like release Kingdom Hearts, however many in between. You finally got the Kingdom Hearts 2, and oh my lord, however many in between before you finally got the 3, and then it kind of just puttered into the grave.
I mean, there were two consoles between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3. Or there was one whole console that they entirely skipped between the numbered release. If you had a PS2 and you were waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3, boy howdy, you had to have a PS4 to play it.
So the reason why I share a little less concern versus Kingdom Hearts is, one, Kingdom Hearts is made up by, basically the story exists in one madman's mind, Tetsuya Nomura. But Final Fantasy VII, that story exists, so there's a lot easier of a template to pull this information from. Also, the original Final Fantasy VII Remake, you could go back, you could watch the original trailer. That was made in a completely different engine with a completely separate studio. And I think it was in 2015 or 16, they had to scrap the entire thing and then rewrite it onto Unreal 4. And honestly, for the better. And then it took them 4 years to make a game. So that's actually normal. It's typically takes 4 years to make a AAA game. So I do understand and share the exact same concern that the next Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, if you will most certainly come out on the PlayStation 5, because PS4 is at the end of its life cycle. So you are right to be wary of what the next couple games will be.
Yeah, and as somebody, okay, two things. One, I do agree with your point of like, yes, there is necessarily more of a defined story, but also at some point I feel like Square Enix just never truly believed that a Final Fantasy VII Remake, with as much fervor as there's been for it for the last 15, 20 years, like, would actually sell that well. I feel partly like that's why they kept putting it off. And then the Final Fantasy money printer just went brrr, and they're like, what if, that one Vincent asshole and that other asshole and that one guy that we made a side story of and this fucking, money cash cow Fortnite over here, what if we started to kind of, rub our hands together?
I disagree with you. Like, the marketing campaign for Final Fantasy VII Remake, I don't know if you remember or not, that was one of the more intense Final Fantasy marketing campaigns Square Enix has done. I think the only thing they've done that was more intense was for Final Fantasy 13, and that game, most of us could agree did not deserve it. And Final Fantasy 15, not that had a marketing campaign. That game was begging for money. Mike, I know you didn't play this game, so I'm going to say this to you. There's a cup noodle mission in it where they say nothing bad about cup noodles, and then your prize at the end is wearing a cup noodle hat, and you have to kill a behemoth to get its meat to put into the cup noodle.
Yes.
Like, one of the characters, I think it's Gladios. He says, like, what's that, Prince Noctis? You've never heard of the flavorful taste of a cup noodle over a campfire? Well, come on. We got to go kill ourselves a behemoth and make sure we have ourselves the perfect treat for tonight's meal.
This is a family and Christian podcast, but yeah, that is really something.
It is. I'm trying to say, like, they didn't have to do that this time where they had to sell their souls to make money.
Yeah.
It was more like, no, we are so confident that this will sell well that they did something they haven't done in years since Final Fantasy 15, and they gave you a free demo. You just had to go to the site and download it. I don't know if you did or not, Josh, but you could, and I did.
Yeah. Like, I guess one thing I would say here is that I am less concerned about the I mean, again, I don't have a comparison point from not having played the original, but I mean, I feel like I paid, like, I can't remember how much I paid for it actually, if it was like full price or just like 40 when I got this, but I feel like I definitely got like my time, like my time out of it, and I really enjoyed it. And I think definitely if it was like just a remaster, this would be like, oh, come on, no, absolutely not. But like, considering like how much I think as long as they've I think they've done a good job of really taking remake to heart and like really fleshing out like the story points, like the characters, like the cutscenes and voice acting, like all of that. Like my wife also got like really into it, and having zero touch base with like anything about Final Fantasy, and also like really got into the story just because of how like just the basics of just like the cutscenes and stuff. So I think they've got a really good template here, and I think they will. I think I kind of I'm on board for like the future of it. I think, like you said, Josh, it will get a little wacky when they do, because there's like, so it's coming to PlayStation 5 in the summer, but that's also when like the Yuffie DLC comes out, and it's like,
Yeah.
so that's not part 2, that's just DLC for part 1. Do you need that for part 2? Like, so that is, I think, where it's going to get.
DLC, is that coming to both or just to PS5?
It's just a PS5.
I think it's just a PS5.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna fact check.
But if you have a PS4 version of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, you can put it into your PS5 and it gives you the PS5 upgraded version for free. That's nice.
Yes,
but then you have to have a PS5, and there are a lot of people who don't have a PS5.
Fuck? Come on.
I mean, so here's the thing. I am in that category of people that absolutely wants the benefits of PS5, but I can't for the life of me buy a PS5. So I agree with you guys. When you tell me about all the benefits I'll get, it's like, that doesn't mean shit to me now.
Ray, remember, PS5, it's finally got graphics.
It's got all of the graphics.
Graphics on PlayStation 5. Oh, this 5 passes
this is one of those things that worries me too. As somebody who primarily plays on PC and did not buy a PS4 until 3 years from a launch of the next gen for $200. While I do see the PS4 lasting a bit longer than was originally intended because of the global chip shortage and the inability of people to really get their hands easily on the current console, I think that the way that this development cycle is working and the way that things are happening in between the two games that are going to take, attention away from just focusing primarily on part 2, you do get to that point where part 2 is far enough away that it could potentially and probably will be a PS5 exclusive. And then, I'm sitting here like, I'm not going to buy a PS5 just for Final Fantasy VII Part 2.
Yeah.
But I'm real fucking invested.
Yeah. I mean, like, when's the earliest part 5? Not part 5, Jesus. When's the earliest part 2 comes out?
So the earliest it could come out,
right?
Yeah, it would have to be 3 years if they rush it, using the same assets and adding some new art.
I guess that's the kind of thing. That's the theory, is like, they've kind of built the system, so they don't have to do that again. So presumably it would be faster, and they're probably already working on it now. So I feel like you could say 2022 feels a little hot to me.
Yeah.
Like, for a true part 2 type situation, I would be, I guess, I mean, it's possible. I'd be very surprised if it was 2022.
I would be worried if they released it
probably because like for that reason, like Josh said, if they want to, especially because this is like a Sony thing, they probably want to like slow walk, to really try to make 2021 and 22 like the year of people getting the PS5s. Here's like your next gen remaster, like really kind of just with the shortage and everything. I don't know how much strategically that really plays into it, but I'd be very surprised if it comes out before 2023. So
yeah, I agree with that.
Also personally speaking, like in the, we are taking this one game and turning it into an even more epic episodic, situation, and we're adding all this stuff in between and in the interim, not only in the game but also in potential side content that might be influenced in it. Waiting that, like, personally speaking, waiting 2, 3, 4 years for the next installment in what's supposed to be the same story, it's just, it's too long. That is too long of a wait for a continuation of what's supposed to be one single story.
So
Personally speaking,
I wanted to pick your thoughts on this because one, I'm supposing you did not play Mass Effect and had to endure that wait.
no.
It's
But also,
basically the same
Mass
thing.
Effect is not one. Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 was not previously one game that was, 40, 50 hours that is now getting split into 3
Yeah, I was
games.
gonna say you
that
guys are
40,
pretty
50.
patient for Metroid Prime 4, but you know.
But again, I want Metroid Prime
Patient
4.
and forced is two different words.
I have some words about that for our Snyder Cut podcast. Just bookmark that.
Okay.
There is the, to my mind, it feels differently because, like, yes, I'm waiting for the next chapter of Metroid. You're waiting for the continuation of the Shepard story, but, like, technically speaking, I know where we're going. It's like reading a book in book series. Like, what's happening. You just want to see the next interpretation of that. And waiting 3-4 years is a long time to keep somebody interested, to keep somebody engaged, to keep things in your memory about, like, okay, what do I remember from the first game? What has changed? What got added? Who is this character again? Oh, like, that's too long. And also, then maybe I have to buy a new fucking console, so.
Yeah, they're gonna have to hit you with, like, the previously on Final Fantasy VII.
And then again, if there are any of those side stories that do have potentially content that is important to the story, you also have to factor those in.
So I want to bring that up because we're talking about. I want to bring back up to the words remake. This is not the same story from the original release. This changes a lot of different things, and that's why it's called remake. It's remaking the story. So I think I explained this to Mike a little while ago, but just to get it on the podcast, this game. So take the original Final Fantasy VII, the one that came out in 1997. We all know and love it. It changed the way everyone saw Japanese RPGs forever in the Western world, and hell, even in Japan. That game still exists. That entire story still exists. Final Fantasy VII Remake that just came out in 2020. That game is taking place in a parallel dimension, and they keep bringing up, like, that story has taken place, and you, the player, are acknowledging that because they have those little ghosties flying around, and that's why I wanted to talk with Josh about. Those little ghosties are supposed to be you, the player, saying, like, I know this story, this is how this is supposed to go, now make it go that way.
Remember that part in the Evangelion movie where he's like, you're a sicko if you're in the theater watching this?
Yeah.
Yeah, they made that into a video game, and it's called Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Since I have the big dumb and subtext like that is always missed on me, I am even more fucking angry about those little ghosties now that you said that.
Oh man, we're just dropping some knowledge on Josh he wasn't ready for.
I can't. Fuck it. I don't want to play the second part. God damn this game.
You know the part where all the ghosts, so we're full spoiler territory. You know the part where all the ghosts are trying to push for and kill Wedge? That's you, the player, saying, like, Wedge is supposed to be dead. Why is Wedge not dead? Die, Wedge, die! And you probably were, like, looking at that scene like, I don't know what's about to happen.
You did it. You.
I kept going like, yo, what? I was like, isn't Wedge supposed to die? And then he did. I'm like, okay, that's good to say. I like it.
Oh my god, you did kill him.
Fucker.
I didn't know he was supposed to die.
Yeah, but Wedge is actually supposed to die. Well, that part where Barrett dies, like Barrett gets stabbed by Sephiroth, that never happens in the original game at all.
That's when I lied earlier. Ray did make me watch a 1-hour YouTube, like, here's what happened in Final Fantasy VII. So I'm like, yeah, I get it. Okay. That part was when I'm like, wait, this is not something that was mentioned in this 1-hour YouTube video. So I can definitely I definitely know that this is like that this game knows that this is a remake and the story is different this time. Different things are happening. And I wonder, I'm like, does Sephiroth know that? Like,
And
it seems like he kind of knows that.
Sephiroth knows that in this game. Like, he keeps calling it out. Red 13 knows that. Red 13 points out, like, through that portal is a future that is going to happen that we can escape from. All we have to do is just fight our destiny. And those monsters that you're fighting at the very end of the game, that's literally you fighting your destiny from preventing the same story that happened in the PS1 classic.
So you would say that the player characters make their own fate in determining their destiny, huh?
Yes. It's very, very Tetsuya Nomura about it, where it's so far up its own ass in storytelling.
No, that was a low-key reference to a line of text that appears in Destiny Raid Vault of Glass, coming soon to Destiny 2. Check it out.
I'm interested in Vault of Glass.
It's coming back. It's going to be a great time.
Every fucking...
How you feel about Gorgons?
Show.
They're back.
Every show, Mike fucking finds a way to get a Destiny note. Okay, back to the fucking Ghost. I am so
Josh killed Wedge. Josh killed Wedge.
Like, when I first... Okay.
I'm dying.
Because Ray, you kind of gave me the hint that I didn't pick up on, but you're like, when you find out what it is, you're gonna be real fucking mad. And then they were just like, oh, it's Destiny. And I was fucking mad. I was furious. I was like, this is stupid. Get the shit out of here. And now I'm even more angry.
Fun.
No,
I think
stupid.
It's fun. It's a fun callback to you, the player, acknowledging like you've been waiting for this for a long time. You are not just playing some remake in beautiful graphics. No, we're retelling a story.
So then just retell the story. Just retell the story.
No, because you, the player, would not be satisfied of the exact same story being split up into 3 games. We're telling a different story.
That's great. Just tell the different story. Then I'm more mad that they're like, oh, we got these little ghosties. They're gonna fucking. You're gonna spend 20 minutes in the beginning of the game fighting these assholes that you can't beat, and you're gonna die 6 times because they're fucking ridiculous. Oh my god.
The madder Josh gets, the more correct they were about doing this.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say.
It's a fly struggling in a spider's web. No, trapped.
No. The different story is good. Like, yes, take the story, expand on it, change it a little bit, like retell it. Like, that is okay with me. But just being like, haha, there's some ghosts that are gonna like just fucking stop anything that's not supposed to happen anywhere in the world is stupid.
No, that makes sense.
That's lazy storytelling. It is.
No,
there's this hand of fate that comes through, and I'm gonna push you off of here because you're not supposed to die yet, guy.
Yes.
Stupid.
If I'm not asking you to sit down and replay the entire thing, but if you were to like watch a synopsis, the ghost only appears in parts where you, the Final Fantasy VII fan, would be like, this is different, this is wrong somehow. And those are the ghosts swirling around to say, like yes, it is!
So why are there a fucking million ghosts just swarming around Midgar, swarming around Midgar in the headquarters, just going like, ha 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 ha, we're just swirling around the building, ha 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 ha.
They're drawn to focuses of fate, you know. The web of time splits off into many paths, but sometimes there's the gravitational pull of something sinks that web, drawing all strands of time to a singular point that cannot be escaped. That is what is happening there, and they are drawn to that.
I'm not drunk enough
like
to
that. Look at that, folks.
I'm not drunk enough to all the way believe that, but I'm gonna buy it a little bit.
That's my interpretation.
Also, Josh, to answer your question, why are they swirling around the Midgard building? That depends on what you're talking about. At the end, why are they swirling around the Midgard building, or at the beginning?
At the end.
At the end of the game, where they're swirling around the Midgard building. That's just a big tell to let you know that everything that you've done up to here is very different, and it's about to get very radical. And the very radical thing is the final boss is you fight fucking Sephiroth at the end of Disc 1. That didn't happen.
I mean, that was cool. The other shit was fucking terrible. I hated the last hour and a half of that game. Like,
I will defend
from
the
the-
motorcycle ride against the motorball.
Anytime you're on the motorcycle is bad.
from
Yeah.
leaving
Fuck
that
that
dipshit
motorcycle.
Rufus to the end of the game, I hated that portion. I was like, okay, fucking put the button on getting ready for the next chapter, but all of this shit sucks. This fight sucks. This escape sucks. It all sucks. Give me like a 1 hour cutscene of like us chasing Sephiroth for a little bit, a dually, and then like get it ready. I was so mad in that last hour and a half.
I will say that motorcycle sequence on the the highway escape sequence.
Oh my god,
that
it
was
takes like
really
25
bad.
minutes.
It took me an hour. That was so bad. That's not a good part of the game, and I think they released a patch to where from now on you could just skip that section,
Why?
like on
Why-
repeat playthroughs.
Here's a better patch.
up?
Take it out entirely.
Damn.
Yeah, patch this, motherfucker.
It was so bad.
Yeah, the boss fight with the motorball where you have to like ride your motorcycle up to different sides of it. That wasn't fun.
No,
that was
it was
Yeah,
that
it's
was
bad
the
when you
antithesis.
like do your sword slash combo and it does like you have done 0.5% damage. And you're just like,
Yeah.
And also, by the way,
no.
you can't use any healing items. Speaking of, I'm gonna get to a fucking rant on healing items in a little bit, but also, yeah, you can't use any healing items. You're gonna do like 0.2 damage, and yeah, fuck you. That was literally just there to be like, you can't escape without them trying to do something to you, Mr. Man.
What?
Damn,
I want to
I
hear your
hate
rant on healing items because I like never ran out of healing items.
No,
in this
no.
entire game.
I never ran out of healing items. But
All right.
this is my same rant with Destiny and other things that don't let you do things in bulk. At a certain point, you're gonna get to a point where maybe I have 100 potions. And I have maybe 10 mega potions. And I'd like to use those potions, but I have 6,000 HP. And I have to
Yeah.
every single individual potion, even in the overworld, click item, click person, click potion, use it, wait for it to activate, click item, click person, use it, wait, click person, click item. I want to be able to go and click potion, go click, healed up, click, healed up. To
Yeah.
not do
I mean,
that
like-
is purposefully obtuse and anti-player. Period.
You know what's funny? When you're in the overworld in the original Final Fantasy VII, you can just do what you just
Yep.
exactly described.
That's exactly
I mean-
what I'm saying.
I just got really good at menuing through it for just like.
Yeah, it's. I
But there's a
acknowledge.
different. Josh, I think Josh. I have a similar point to Josh. It's just like I'm like, oh, I better buy all these potions, and then the potions you're like, oh wait, these actually like become pretty useless immediately because it's not worth the time that this takes in battle and the action points.
Yeah.
To do this little healing, which is like good, is like that's like smart, but I'm like, I wish there was a way to like, and now I just have all these like potions.
But
It's
also,
not
Yeah.
but
worth
also
going
in
back.
the terms
Can I
of
like
like,
convert these into like mega potions, like with
and,
like
yeah,
like
and but in
alchemy
the
or
terms
whatever?
of like buying them from a vendor, they're still one of the most like valuable, like value per healing, because a potion is half of a high potion, but 100 gil cheaper overall.
Josh, just use the cure materia.
But then you have to use an ether to make up for any MP you lose.
All right, I'm gonna sound really reductive here, but maybe you should just get good and stop letting your magic run out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't just you could go to the fucking magic tree between fights and be like, "Here, give me some fucking
oh
Mako
yeah, let me
shards."
just power level Aerith real quick here, Ray. Give me just one hot second.
You know, Aerith, one of her like skills is just a free heal.
Yeah,
So
like
just
her,
like cast it.
Yeah, I
But also, I very rarely used Eris. She wasn't very good.
Oh, dude, no, she's great.
she's got
like-
some like she's got the like Kamehameha, which is kind of fun. It does like a bunch of
At least in my game,
Tifa
Tifa was better at magic. Also did more damage.
All right, I don't know what you did, but Tifa was not better at magic. I'm gonna stop you right there. That's a hard.
My Tifa had almost double the materia slots and 30 more MP than Aerith did.
Tifa.
What were you
Tifa.
doing?
I don't know.
Were you not leveling up Aerith at all? Because that sounds like the only way.
When I had it's not like you had a lot of control of like, oh, I'm gonna swap them out like in the first, like I'm gonna pick my party.
Yeah,
they
kind of keep the party like pretty.
It's like every chapter has its like your set time with those people. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna swap Barrett out for Tifa this round, and you know you're not doing that. So when I had Aerith, she was getting experience, but you know, she was just there to be eye candy and fucking yeah from the background.
Were you leveling up the weapons?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I loved having Aerith in my party. As a matter of fact, I really felt it when she wasn't in my party.
I mean, like the arcane ward that like you double cast, and there were things that I liked about Aerith, but like for the most part, I was not counting on her in a you know, the other two were really bringing it home.
Like when the section of the game where you can bring Aerith. Well, there's a part of the game where you're forced to bring. Well, forced. You don't have to do this, but you go to the what is it? The arena, the like Coliseum battle arena, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a part where you're like forced for story pathing. If you choose to, you could bring Aerith there, but later on you can go back there. And yeah, anytime I got the chance, I'm like, yeah, let's just bring Aerith along. It's gonna be easy. Arcane Ward, double magic, Fire Aga or Thundaga or Blizzaga. I already could tell by the enemy.
Those high level spells do fucking truck tons of damage.
Yeah.
But boy, the whole it takes forever to cast, and they could potentially get stuttered, but also lose the MP of the actual cast.
Yeah,
fucking sucks.
I guess that's like the trade off is just like
there's a little risk.
I did really like the I thought the battle system just in general. I really liked it. Like I think it was I did always kind of feel bad when something like fucked up would happen in Cloud. I'd be like, damn, dude, that sucks. I'm going to switch to Barrett so I can do something fun. And then that's what I did. And it was great. And I loved it. And I found like little combos like I liked for each character. So, like I really liked when Barrett had like, I can't remember what the ability is called, but like when he has the one that just like, he just goes like super rapid fire and just drains his entire action meter, but it does a ton of damage.
Oh, Anger Max.
Yeah, like that one. That was sick.
I really liked Tifa. You know, you use the unbridled strength, Omni Strike,
like you open
uppercut.
up your chakras like Rock Lee from
like yes.
And basically that would be a guaranteed action point. So you could just unbridled strength, Omni Strike, uppercut, unbridled, like you could just keep fucking bobbling somebody like that, and that usually would stagger them too. So
I don't know if you guys saw, but there's a bunch of like different like Tifa combo videos getting just straight Dante May cry on some like groups of enemies where she's bouncing around. And when you learn how to do like certain combos and mix and match them up, there's that one, I forget what it's called, but it's like she puts a little ball, like an energy ball in the middle of the arena. When you set that down and then you start doing overpower striking enemies into it and they're just caught in the ball.
Yeah, like it's cool that there's room for that in this game to do. I think I guess just like we haven't dipped into this too much, but like I also just really I was not prepared for how much I would like all of these characters.
Yeah.
Like I really like Cloud for the fact that he's a big dumbass and like thinks he's like, the coolest guy ever, but actually sucks
insufferable
so much.
Dipshit. But I love him for it.
I know, like he's so dumb, but I like, and he's trying so hard to be cool that it like works. And like Tifa
just
is
as long
like
as I get my money.
Tifa's like your classic RPG punch person, but she's like really sweet and it's like, oh Cloud, your little badass thing is really cool. And then Aerith is just like, I was talking to Ray about this. Like, I really liked how, I mean, in games, you kind of know the tropes of these games. But I really liked the idea that like, you get the sense that something is very different about Aerith because of like her unnatural kindness and like heart that she has. Like she just has like a warmth that like feels alien to this world. It's like, how did someone like this come from a world like this?
Well, I definitely,
And
you know, you get the sense through some of that too, that like she really had, as much as she seems so ditzy and airy and whatnot, like she's got it all dialed in. She's got it all like she knows what's
yeah,
going on.
yeah, that's the thing. That's what like there's like healer like chaste woman healer is like very much an RPG trope. Like another RPG I've played or have a little bit of touchstone with is Tales of Symphonia, which has a character like that. That is very insufferable and it's just like
Lloyd.
oh god. Not Lloyd, Colette, I think is her name in that game.
Yeah,
And she's like
she's
constantly
the
doing like oh,
ditzy
I'm
blonde.
sorry. Like but Aerith is gestures to that, but is very much not that
Mm-hmm.
in a way that is very like she's very kind, but she's very intelligent and you know, but all and very direct. She has like a frankness that like fucks with Cloud that is very funny. I love it so much. Like I really love the character dynamics that they hit here. And like that's what I was saying. Like with Aerith, like it's like you gotta get a sense of like what is largely going on with her because it's just like how are you this way? Like how is that possible? And you're like, oh, because you're this other thing that is not of this world in the real sense. And then the absolute king, Barrett. Oh my god.
I was really concerned about Barrett because the first half hour of him I played in the demo. Well, it was like first 2 hours. It was like, fuck. Did Japan pull a loud black man stays loud black man the entire game? And no, they did not. He's actually like possibly the best character.
I will say
I was not ready for Barrett to be as fucking badass and cool as he is. Oh my god! What a king.
do wish that they had taken this opportunity to address Marlene a little bit. You know, 20 years later, a black man having a Snow White daughter. You know, that's one of those things that you could have just like could have changed it up a little bit, but
no, you forgot what Final Fantasy VII. You forgot where Marlene came from.
Apparently,
it's a remake, Ray.
But also it's a remake.
It's a remake, but Marlene has a. I mean, this game is like 30 years old, so I don't feel that bad. Well, 25, whatever.
Yeah, because they didn't really talk about this, but I was like, is she adopted? I bet she's adopted.
There's a story why Barrett has Marlene, and since you already watched that thing, it's Dion, which was Barrett's best friend when they came from, I think it's Coral Town or Coal Town. And Dion, Barrett thought had died because he fell down a cliff or something along those lines.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, their arms when they were hanging on to each other, they're like, don't let go, I won't let go. The Shinra woman with the giant tits, Scarlet, you heard me. She shot Barrett and Dion's arm off, so that's why they don't have their arms. And Barrett, as a gesture to his best friend, takes care of his long daughter, and she was too young to realize what had happened. So it's just like, no, that's my girl now.
Completely forgot all that.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting here remembering Marlene as a white kid, and I'm like, man, they could have fucking, you know.
If anything, making her black would raise more questions, and it would not make you ask the question of why does this very African American or like black character rather have this very, as you said, Snow White daughter.
African Midgarian.
African, yeah, right, that's why I changed it to black African Midgarian. You're not wrong. But you're supposed to think that. You're supposed to question that.
Okay. That makes me feel better because that is something that I forgot. But yeah, like, and even the Avalanche crew, save for Jesse's horniness, like,
No,
You know-
including Jesse's horny.
Yeah,
I mean, don't get
we love and appreciate Jesse.
we do love and appreciate Jessie. She's the
just
best.
need her to
R.I.P.
keep her
Pour some
distance,
out. God damn it,
please.
you're gone too soon from this world, baby girl. But like, you know, they gave all of them very endearing character traits, and you know, beyond just the surface level of like, oh, we're you know, like especially Jesse's. My dad worked for Shinra and was corrupted and, you know, basically killed by the Mako. And I could have stayed on the surface and just lived my life, but I feel drawn to do something about it, whatever that might be, and putting what skills I have to use for that purpose. You know, all of those characters you just feel so connected to throughout the first half of that game.
These NFTs are sucking the planet dry, Cloud.
God,
He would say something like that.
damn
Yeah.
it.
It's just, I'm so sorry.
And you know
Barrett,
how he
you can
was
cut that if you want.
Barrett would hate Bitcoin, and he would fucking go to a Bitcoin mining farm, and he would just shoot it.
Yes,
Exactly.
he would. Yes, he would. Barrett is the end stage of revolutionary. We're like, you know what? Words have stopped working. We strap in Gatling guns to our arms now. And
Also,
we're done
real
talking.
quick, while we're on the
talking
topic,
about theory.
while we're on the topic of Barrett, can we just talk about
it's
the
so
fact
good.
that they kept it so that the caliber on his Gatling gun is astronomically, stupidly large, but they
Yes.
at least gave him a fucking like 12-round magazine under here, so it at least looks like it at least has somewhere where ammunition is coming from. But it's
I think it's cute they try to acknowledge that there's an ammo capacity when, like, no, there's not.
yeah.
Like, there's certain things you just have to let go with this game. One, Barrett,
Who
where's he
cares?
get his ammo? Wherever. That also goes into the question of how does Cloud swing that sword? Eh.
He just does. The Mako energy. It makes him strong.
Yeah.
Come on.
But also, can we talk about how, you know, we're going around Barrett blasting all these dudes and shooting them 1,000 times for them to die, but then we go into Sector 6 and somebody points a gun at us and we're like, oh my god, I might die.
Yeah. That's just a class. That's just like a video game, like verisimilitude kind of thing. Like when, you know, John Marston gets shot all the time in the game, but then gets shot in a cutscene once, and he's like, "Ah,
I'm dead.
yeah." It's just like canonically, has not ever taken any damage, but
Yeah.
until then, it's just that's video games.
Every
just
shot has
are
missed.
Aren't just not good at that. But
Uh,
yes,
they're
the
not-
point stands.
They're not really good at displaying, like, if Cloud actually hit a human being with a sword that large in the form of a cut strike, this would be a rated M, possibly a OG.
Yeah. But then, like, in some scenes, we're expected to believe that Cloud has beat these people with his sword and they're just unconscious, not in half.
In half is also putting it, they might be like bludgeoned blood smears all over the wall.
Yeah.
I do love the animations also, because I was also afraid, like, how anime are they going to go with Cloud swinging his sword? At the very beginning of the game, you know, mild, until you unlock the hard edge and you unlock the attack infinity's end, and then he has this really long as fuck wind up, and then he hits the person. It's like, there it is. That's as anime as I needed this game to go. Thank goodness. I was afraid they would tone it down. They did not. Okay, I wanted to actually talk to you guys about something. Can we have 1 5-minute segment of this podcast dedicated to the horniness that is Jesse? Because from time to time, Anna would walk in watching me playing this game, and she would ask, "What are you playing?" And I'm like,
Oh my god.
She is so thirsty.
She
It's like
just
when you
wanted
watch
to
a
make
movie
Cloud a
and then,
pizza.
Like, there's one sex scene in the movie, and then your dad, who you haven't seen in like 15 years, walks in like, "Hey, son, what you watch?" Nothing. I'm watching nothing.
She just wanted to make Cloud a pizza. That's all.
I love how the friends like can't pick up on the
Come meet
cue.
my parents. I'm just. It's so funny, man. It's so good.
The other
And
Avalanche
Cloud is
members
just
can't pick up the hint.
completely oblivious. All of it.
Yes.
Like
Until
maybe he's not.
basically she's about to die, and then he's like, oh my god, I could have hit that.
Cloud is just, he's such, God, he's so dumb. I love it so much.
I actually appreciate how like
mega dumbass.
He would be the incel that has like women dropping himself all over us and then bitching about the fact that like nobody wants to have sex with me. Motherfucker, you got vagina panties just dropping
so
everywhere.
Like
there are certain little hidden things in the game that you don't have to replay the entire game. You can actually just start a different file and start replaying different chapters to trigger them. There are certain choices that you can make that trigger hidden relationship values between you, Aerith, and Tifa. So, like, certain time... Okay, I'll give you an example. Remember when you, Aerith, and Tifa, you chased Don Corneo, you know, you did the correct thing, I hope, and Don Corneo picked Cloud because he's like, that's the sexiest woman in this room. I'm gonna fuck that right now. Everyone, be gone. I'm gonna need 20 minutes. If you pick Cloud and then the other one's like, haha, it's really Tifa and Aerith, and drops them all down. When you go to inspect to make sure that Tifa and Aerith are okay, you have a choice, and that affects your relationship value.
Yep.
Like, do you pick Aerith or do you pick Tifa? If you pick Aerith, Tifa actually wakes up and gets jealous. If you pick Tifa, Aerith kind of acknowledges, like, do you guys have a thing going on? Are you guys an item? You kind of talked about. There's a jealousy factor that starts getting playing, and eventually it doesn't really matter to anything. But it's fun that it affects little cutscenes and whatnot. So they both are. Go ahead.
Yeah, that relationship between those two is actually so real, of like these two women that don't necessarily have any particular claim to Cloud, quote unquote, but like they're both interested and they're all supposed to be friends, but they are kind of like realizing they're both in competition but also have to work together. You can really feel that, and I'm sure a lot of people have experienced that in some way, shape, or form, and being some part of that kind of uncomfortable, the fuck is going on here between you two, because I want a piece of that relationship. And I really appreciated the way that they handled that in never getting too overt about it, and the subtlety in the way that they did it without acknowledging it was really impressive, especially like when the things started happening after the plate fell, and like, or getting ready for that, and they were working together, all that went away because we have this actual focus where we have to do this thing, and whatever little weird competitive petty thing we've got feeling towards each other is not pertinent right now.
Just Cloud, go for Tifa. It's the winning pick.
Aerith.
No, you're a fool.
This is one of those moments where I'm like, I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, maybe Aerith fucking knows too. God damn it. Aerith is like, don't fall in love with me, because, motherfucker, I'm gonna get stabbed later.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, wherever the next game goes, it's actually gonna go. Like, Aerith saw her death. You see that later near like the ending.
Yeah, like the materia. The drop into the.
Yeah. Aerith knows that if we don't choose this path, I'm going to die, but eventually I'll save the world. And Cloud's like, well, we don't have to choose that future. So
yeah, see, I like the sword of Damocles of that, of like Aerith knowing that is what has to happen, and Aerith, because Aerith is the goodness of Aerith, will not allow her to make another decision, because like that's just what she will do.
There's no choice. It's like, that is just the thing that is going to happen. There is no I don't do this.
Yeah.
For her.
So like I like that kind of. I really hope that they, in the future installments, that they really kind of expand on, like, I mean, I don't want to get like too meta, but like I think that is a really good way to like still maintain the original story and still tell a good story for people like me, but still make it interesting for people who have like a lot of experience with the original, of kind of adding that little dramatic irony to it, of like the characters knowing this is the remake as they understand it, but like, well, maybe we did the right thing the first time, and maybe there's not a lot we can do about it.
That's
and dealing with that I think that is really interesting, and I think is a lot of cool potential.
Of like we are gonna spend this whole game of like there has to be another way. We're gonna make a different choice, and then getting to that point where it's like,
and they're like,
actually no, fuck, this is
not.
the one.
Yeah, like I think I think that's a really cool dynamic, and I hope they play into that more.
I thought that was the boss fight in general, like with the crystal bosses that are really awful and scream Tetsuo Nomura wouldn't put the pen down type of bosses. I hate that shit so much. But I thought that was like
fuck
them
that
defeat.
House.
Oh, the Hell House? Yeah, there's no good way to fight the Hell House. I haven't listened to any review or analysis of the game where they're like, yeah, the Hell House was a fun fight. It's not. It's absolutely not. It's such just a trash, eat up a bunch of your hit points, not easy to take out fight. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna look up if it was ever patched, so that, like they made it like more bearable.
Hey, you know how you make that one? You know how you make that one more bearable? Patch
Don't
it
say
out.
it.
Patch it
No,
out.
you leave the Hell House in. It's such no. You. I draw the line.
I am a Hell House. In this house, we defend Hell House.
Oh my god. Okay, real quick, Ray,
house,
as somebody who remembers Final Fantasy VII, the original, way better than I do, feel free to ignore this question if it's too spoilery for Mike. What the fuck is up with Cowboy Tifa? If that is something that happens in the original game, fucking forgot all about it. So
yeah, it does happen in the original game. Cowboy Tifa is Cloud remembering back to. Wow, you did forget that part. That's actually a really pivotal part of the game.
Yeah, because that's I remember this because I watched this 1-hour YouTube video of the story.
You're welcome.
You have to remember,
game.
Ray, I played it, gave it to you, and never touched it again.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So I played it as a 7 or 8-year-old, and have not played it since, and have not watched walkthroughs since. So there's so much that I don't remember.
So I'm partially cheating because what makes it so fresh in my mind is that link I sent you years ago called the Final Fantasy VII Machine Abridged. It's where they go through the entire game, but it's a gigantic, like, almost 10-hour parody of the game bit by bit.
Yes.
That helps a lot for my memory of it. So Cloud at one point has this memory where he goes back to his hometown, Nibelheim. You take the pick. I think it's
for sure.
I think it's Nibelheim.
You can
squeeze me.
You cannot tell me it's any different. You've already put that in my mind. It's Nibelheim. Anyway.
It's Nibelheim. Nibelheim. Oh no. So they go back to Nibelheim. Mike has to go.
Nope.
And the way Cloud tells the story is he went back because he became a soldier, first class, mind you, with Sephiroth, and they were investigating a Mako reactor that was a bit on the fritz. And Tifa was going to be there as their tour guide, and she dressed up as a cowboy just to try to like meet Cloud there because she remembered she was going to meet Cloud there. What actually happened was Cloud was just some regular old enlisted Shinra soldier because he wasn't good enough to be soldier first class, mind you. That was actually his best friend Zack, and when a bunch of shit happens at the Mako reactor, Tifa gets stabbed. That's how she gets her scar going across her chest. Cloud gets stabbed. Zack gets killed. He's dead. And Cloud trusted Zack so much, so he takes on Zack's persona and mixes it with his childhood memories, and Cloud is Zack and Zack is Cloud now. Zack's actually like really very dead. So that's why she has that cowboy outfit.
Okay. I have a brief question.
Yeah.
So Sephiroth is not Sephiroth. Sephiroth is like Genova imitating Sephiroth, and then the real Sephiroth is at the northern crater. Is that right?
Yes. What that part I just talked about, where a bunch of fucky stuff happened at the Mako reactor, Cloud summoned up some hidden strength inside himself because it was in him all along, and he pushes he stabs Sephiroth and pushes him into a Mako river down in the Mako reactor. And Sephiroth gets damaged and destroyed, but because he's super powerful, he casts out bits of Genova that he had with him into the world, and those bits of Genova manifest into Sephiroth as a form. It's weird. I acknowledge that. I'm not
Okay.
saying it makes
So,
100% sense.
so it's
So
still
I,
Sephiroth.
you know,
Okay,
obviously, like part 2 is going to address that because if you don't know, they kind of hint at the very end about like Zack and his existence and him and Cloud's relationship, and you see the parallels on. Oh wait, that armor and that setup looks familiar. I know that fucking sword. Like, what is happening? Oh, they're together. I wonder how much they're going to get into that
You just reminded
Sephiroth,
me.
like, okay, is the reason why this Sephiroth can fucking descend from the heavens because he has this power? Why did he go back? I wonder how they're going to address that and tell that story in the next chapter.
You guys were just reminding me at the very, very end of that game, Final Fantasy VII Remake, you see Zack and he's not dead. And I just like did a nod of like, wonder where they're gonna go
I
with
guess
that.
in my head that was a flashback, but I guess we'll see.
Because like after that fight, he's talking to Cloud, and then him and Cloud are walking together after that fight. So who knows?
Yeah, he 100% died. Like in the game that tells the story of Zack, it's called Crisis Core. I actually got the strategy guide for that over here. Yeah. Nope, that's a comic book. Either way, I got it around somewhere. In Crisis Core, even at the end of that game, they're like, no, Zack died. How did he die? Literally 100 Shinra soldiers emptied their magazines into him, and they had attack helicopters, and they all fired. It was like a little kid to like how they kill
and then he got hit by a fire truck, and then he got hit by a dump truck.
And then that plane from Independence Day nuked him, and they were looking from the truck, and they're like, the target does not remain.
Yeah. In the original video game, Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation, what they did is they just showed Shinra soldiers shooting Zack in the head, and they're like, "There, that's good enough. He's dead," and then they walked away. But in our new anime world, where anyone could survive anything, they're like, "We need to make it beyond a shadow of a doubt." Looks like this man died.
Why have 10 soldiers shoot somebody one time when you could have 100 soldiers shoot him 1,000 times?
I might post this in the video, or I might not, depends on my laziness, but I'm going to show you guys the picture of Zack dying in Crisis Core, so you can get a sense of how, like, ridiculous that they amped it up to. Okay, I'm going to post this in the chat. Well, anyways.
Do it. All right. So, other thoughts. We're coming up on the hour here. Obviously, I've gotten my rant out of the way. I don't know how I'm gonna play, how or when I'm going to play part 2. I really want to, but god damn it, I'm very worried. The last hour and a half of the game can fuck off.
You really hate that?
Oh, I hated it so much. I was so mad, like, especially because I got through that part and I knew I was close to the end of the game, and I had to wait like 3 weeks to play the last hour, and then I finally had a chance, and I played that last hour, and I was so mad. I was like, this could have just been a cutscene. None of the rest of this stuff had to happen. It was so pointless and so frustrating and infuriating. I was so mad. Other thoughts, other takeaways about specific sections of the game or story beats, anything like that?
I'm excited for the sequel. I'm super excited because it's going to be something fresh. As Mike stated, this combat system was great. This is the perfect combination of the Final Fantasy 15 combat system mashed with the Kingdom Hearts 3 combat system, and it just works perfectly. I had so much fun to the point where I wanted to 100% the game. It's been a long time since I wanted to try to 100% the game. Let it be known, I didn't, because I read the requirements just to get Bahamut, and I said, "Oh, never mind. I'm not that interested." But I think I told you guys the requirements to get Bahamut. You kill every single summon, like in a boss fight, in a row, and then you fight Bahamut. And by the way, Bahamut can summon Ifrit in his fight. So he's just like, you know what? You guys are a challenge. Here's Ifrit to deal with along the way. It was like, no, I don't.
I like the fat chocobo. He's great.
Fat Chocobo gets king.
Love him. I love my Fat Chocobo. I want to say, like I said earlier, I was not sure how I would feel about this, having zero touch point or reference to the original. And I came away really enjoying it, and I very much look forward to checking out the next one.
Yeah, I mean, for as many nitpicks and minor frustrations I have with the game about,
I sent
the
you guys the picture, by the way.
That's a lot of fucking dudes.
the length of some of the fetch questiness of some of the sections in between, like main chapters, and the ending. Overall, it was a great game. It was gorgeous. It did very, it both hit nostalgia and also like told a new story in a way that's like I very much appreciate it. And as much as I don't know how I'm gonna play the next one because I don't know when, I will find a way because I'm just gonna have to. But so in summary, when you want to hear in 6 years our part 2 spoiler cast, do you know where you can do that?
Oh,
Where?
Right here on unscriptedgaming.com. You will find links to all of our information across the web. You can follow us on Facebook at Unscripted Game Podcast or get us on Twitter at unscript_gaming. You can get the video versions of our podcast on YouTube. Just look up Unscripted Gaming. You can get our audio anywhere where your podcatching gets. SoundCloud.com/unscripted-gaming. We are on Apple, Google, Pocket Casts, Spotify, anywhere. Listen to us. Hang out with us for 6 years until we get the next part. Until then, thank you for listening to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Josh.
My name is Ray.
My name is Cloud.
Bye, Zach.
What do you
Peace.
want?